Why would American Airlines walk away from $1.4 billion worth of brand new Airbus A350s, one of the most advanced passenger jets ever built? With wait times for fresh-off-the-line A350 South stretching 5 to 6 years, was American being reckless? Or was there something much bigger going on? To understand, let's rewind it. All began in 2005. At the time, U.S. Airways was climbing out of bankruptcy, trying to rebuild its long-haul network. Their solution? Airbus's newly announced A350. They placed an order for 22 aircraft. It was a bold, strategic move, exactly what the airline needed to reestablish itself internationally. U.S. Airways ordered the A350-800, the smallest member of the family. Keep that detail in mind, because it matters later. Fast forward to 2013. American Airlines merges with U.S. Airways, creating the largest airline in the world. But along with the merger came a number of inherited challenges, one of which was that outstanding A350 order. Then, in late 2014, Airbus dropped a bombshell. They decided to cancel the A350-800 program altogether. At its peak in 2008, the -800 had racked up 182 orders. But by the time of the 2014 Farnborough Air Show, most customers had switched to larger variants. Fewer than 20 were still on the book, so what happens when the aircraft you ordered no longer exists? Airbus gave American a straightforward offer. Convert all of those, a 350-800s to the larger, a 350-900, but here's the catch: that change completely altered them. Operational math. The A350-800 was designed to seat around 270 passengers, a sweet spot for medium-density, long-haul routes. The A350-900, by contrast, carried about 315 passengers in a two-class configuration, flew farther, and cost more to operate. It was built for an entirely different mission profile. It's like ordering a compact car and being told instead you'll be getting a mid-size SUV. Different fuel costs, different handling, different parking requirements, different everything. American Airlines hadn't chosen this path. They had inherited U.S. Airways' order, and now Airbus was asking them to take on an even bigger aircraft that made even less sense for their network. You can see where this is heading. Fast forward to the mid-2010s. Vasu Raja, then vice president at American Airlines, sits down with Airbus executives. The Europeans are prepared. They've got presentations, financial projections, and what industry insiders later described as an incredibly generous deal. They were confident. After all, who turns down one of the world's most advanced aircraft, especially at a bargain? But Raja wasn't convinced. As reported by Brian Summers in the Airline Observer, his response has since become aviation legend. He looked across the table and said, "You're selling a great lawnmower. In fact, you're practically giving it away for free. But here's the problem. I live in a high-rise penthouse. The room went silent." This wasn't diplomatic corporate speak. It wasn't "we'll think about it." It was an unambiguous rejection. A message so clear it basically meant, stop calling, stop trying, stop wasting our time. But here's what makes this rejection so fascinating. It wasn't just a no to Airbus. It revealed something much deeper about how modern airlines actually make decisions. To understand why Raja's answer was so definitive, you need to look at what American Airlines had already built. An all-Boeing wide-body Fortress Boeing 777s for the flagship international routes. Boeing 787 Dreamliners for everything else. At this wasn't just brand loyalty. It was operational genius. When every wide-body comes from the same manufacturer, the benefits compound. Pilot training becomes streamlined. A 777 captain can transition to a 787 far easier than to an Airbus A350. Maintenance focuses on a single set of parts, manuals, and procedures. And according to IATA studies, fleet commonality can slash maintenance costs dramatically. Crew scheduling? The advantages are enormous. Flight attendants trained on Boeing widebodies can seamlessly work across the entire fleet, giving the airline unmatched flexibility during irregular operations. Adding the A350 wouldn't strengthen this system. It would break it. It would inject complexity, cost, and inefficiency into a network designed for simplicity. For American, The savings from sticking to Boeing weren't just significant, they were massive even then. COVID hit airlines collectively lost more than $175 billion in 2020. American alone bled $8.9 billion. Suddenly, the A350 order went from merely unwanted to actively harmful. Taking delivery of brand new A350s would have meant massive capital expenditures at the very moment American was fighting for survival. Their response? Double down on what already worked. Maximize Boeing efficiency. Strip away every source of complexity, but while American walked away, their competitors headed down very different paths. Delta went all in on the Airbus A350. They didn't just buy a few, they rebuilt their international operations around them. In 2020, Delta shocked the industry by retiring its entire Boeing 777 fleet early, replacing those aircraft with A350-900s. The payoff? Huge reductions in fuel burn on equivalent long-haul routes. Today, Delta's A350s serve premium trans-Pacific and transatlantic markets, the same kind of missions where American relies on its 777s. And Delta isn't stopping there. They've committed to the larger A350 to 1,000, with deliveries expected from 2027 for Delta. The A350 isn't just another jet, it's the backbone of a strategic transformation intent. On the other hand, tells a very different story. The airline once had 45 A350 to 1000s on order, but those deliveries have been delayed again and again. Some were even converted down to A350-900s. The latest reports push United's first A350 arrivals out to 2027 or later. Instead, United doubled down on Boeing. In 2022, they placed a blockbuster order for 100 Dreamliners, with options for 50 more. So here you have three approaches from America's aviation giants. Delta embracing the A350 as its future. United continually pushing the A350 further out while betting big on the 787. And American walking away altogether to preserve the efficiency of an all-Boeing widebody fleet. Which one is right? Well, that depends entirely on each airline's operational philosophy. Raja wasn't dismissing the A350's quality. Far from it. He acknowledged it was a great lawn mower. He even admitted Airbus was practically giving it away. But if you live in a penthouse with no yard, the world's best lawn mower is completely useless. That's exactly how American viewed the A350. The jet might have been technologically superior. Airbus might have offered incredible terms. But if it didn't fit the airline's operational strategy, all of those advantages ever predicted. Airlines don't buy airplanes just because they're good airplanes. They buy airplanes that help them make money in their specific context. Raja's analogy cut through layers of corporate diplomacy and flashy marketing to reveal a simple truth. Strategic fit trumps everything else. Industry observers were split. Some praised his blunt honesty. Others thought it was unnecessarily harsh. But everyone agreed on one point: there was zero ambiguity about American's position, and the numbers backed him up. The financial case against the A350 was overwhelming once you looked beyond sticker price. Pilot training alone would have required months of retraining hundreds of crew. Maintenance meant an entirely new pool of A350 specific parts, specialized tools, and procedures at every base. Crew scheduling complications would multiply during irregular operations, since staff would be split across incompatible fleets. American's finance team did the math. The added complexity wasn't a temporary burden, it was an ongoing cost that would take years, maybe decades, to justify. In an industry where profit margins are measured in single digits, voluntarily introducing that kind of inefficiency wasn't bold, it was suicidal for Airbus. American's rejection was devastating, and not just because of the lost $1.4 billion sale. This was about more than 22 airplanes. It was about credibility in the U.S. market. If American had joined the A350 family, it would have sent a powerful signal to the industry. Other airlines, both in the U.S. and abroad, closely watch what American, Delta, and United do. Their fleet decisions carry influence worldwide. So when American flatly rejected the A350, the message was clear. Even the most attractive deal in the world can overcome a poor strategic fit. This wasn't just a lost sale for Airbus. It was a missed chance to crack Boeing's near-total dominance of the U.S. wide-body market. Lesson for manufacturers is just as important as the one for airlines. The old playbook convincing carriers to diversify their fleets may no longer work. Instead, builders need to design aircraft that align with airline strategies, not fight against them for airlines. The takeaway is equally clear. Strategic clarity matters. American knew exactly what it wanted, and it refused to be swayed by shiny terms or technology that didn't match its vision. It also highlights a deeper truth about mergers. Success isn't just about combining fleets and route networks. It's about aligning cultures, philosophies, and long-term strategies. If that doesn't happen, inherited orders can quickly become expensive mistakes, and with that, we come full circle. Americans' rejection wasn't about saying no to a good airplane. It was about saying yes to a clear, consistent vision. Now, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to love this video right here, so why not check it out next?